welcome to my tutorial on my Satori dress that I designed and crocheted. This is my second dress that I made in this style, so I could show you how I made it. So first I measured my bust, which is about 34 inches, and I subtracted 10 to get 24 inches. And then I chained to that length. I actually made this one too tight, so don't fully stretch it out when checking your length. You want to make sure that it's not all the way stretched. After chaining to my bust minus 10, I went back and forth with the lemon peel stitch, which is just a single crochet and the second chain from the hook, and then doing a double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, alternating back and forth until you get to the end of the row. To get my desired length, I measured from where I wanted my coverage to start to my underbust, and that is what I continued my lemon peel stitch until I got to that length, which was about 4.5 inches. When you reach your length, you will chain one, make 2 single crochets along the side, then chain 2 and skip the next 2 holes and single crochet into the next 3 holes. Then chain 2, skip 2, and single crochet in 3 all the way down your piece. Once you finish that row, you'll just chain 1 and single crochet all the way back down that side, making sure to single crochet into the holes that we made for the tying up in the back. From there, you will make a chain from the length of your underbust to your waist, or wherever you want the middle section to end. And on this section, we'll be doing the moss stitch. So you need to make sure you have an even number and then add 4 stitches. And then you will do your first single crochet into the 4th stitch from the hook, and then you will chain 1, skip 1, do a single crochet, chain 1, skip 1, do a single crochet all the way down until you get to the back to the underbust section. Secure your first moss stitch row with a slip stitch. Then make another slip stitch into the next and turn your work. You will then continue the moss stitch and do a single crochet into all of the chain spaces and a chain 1, skip 1 over any single crochet. The end of the rows are kind of tricky, but you want to get into that last stitch and make a single crochet, and then you will chain 2 and then turn your work, repeating the moss stitch all the way around the bust of your dress. Alright, so I've just finished the moss stitch portion of the waist, which is the entire waist. So I've just finished the waist part. What we're going to do next is I ended with 1 stitch left. So I just slip stitched into that last stitch, and I'm just going to chain 1 and crochet, single crochet the same. So the same thing we did over here. To figure out how many holes we needed and when to put those holes, we're going to be doing that on the same thing. So we're going to chain 1, single crochet 2, then chain 2, then and skip 2, single crochet 3, chain 2, skip 2, all the way till we get up to the top, and we're going to single crochet back down just like we did on this side. But we're going to keep going. So after we get back to this stitch, we're going to keep going again with the moss stitch so we can get back to this corner. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna sew up the waist part. So I just took a little piece of my yarn, and that's what I'm going to use to sew these two pieces together. This is the right side of the dress. So we're just gonna fold that over. We're gonna start in the bottom corner. We're gonna make sure we're getting just one loop through and leave a little tail for weaving in. And then we're gonna go to our other side. This is the chain one that I made for the next stitches. And we're gonna take the other opposite loop. So we're taking the right loop from this side, we're taking the left loop from this side. Pull these together to secure it, and that is what we will be repeating all the way up. So we're gonna go to this next stitch, right through one loop, and then right through the opposing loop. We'll stop when we get to, right before we get there, so somewhere like right in this stitch, right there. There's the two stitches, then the two stitches right here. We'll stop right there, and this is what it will look like when it's all sewed up. On the back side, we'll have this little loop 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 here. On the front side, it will look kind of invisible. It'll kind of just blend in with other moss stitches, but it's like a little, looks like a slip stitch, which is why I like it. So, yep, now we can start on the skirt. So after it's all fully sewed up, just ignore my ends. I haven't weaved them in yet. I will weave them in later. But so far we only have 3. So, well, I have 2 because you will only have 3 if you have more than 50 grams in your yarn pack. Anyway, so we have our chain 1, and what we're gonna do is we're just gonna go all the way around and make a single crochet. And this is the last thing we will do with our 4.0 hook. So you're just going into each space that you see. So it should be every chain and single crochet from your moss stitch row. So now that we've gone around with our single crochets, slip stitch into that first stitch that we made, and then you're going to count how many single crochets you made all the way around. This is important for when we make our ruffles later on. I have 102. In my first dress I made 110, and I should have just done that again because it's a little tight. We're gonna get rid of our 4.0 hook, and we're gonna bring out our, hey, I said we're gonna get rid of you. We're gonna bring out our 6.0 hook, 6mm hook, and we are going to start doing the double herringbone crochet. And this is gonna be a little tricky because we did this with you know, so it's gonna be a little stiff, but we're going to chain 2, yarn over, insert our hook into that first stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. We're going to take our first loop and slip stitch it into the second. So we have 2 loops on the hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through 1 loop, and then yarn over, pull through the remaining loops. So again, yarn over, insert into the hook, pull up a loop, slip stitch, or like, you know, pull the first loop through the second loop, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, yarn over, pull through both loops. And that will be our stitch for this entire row. I'm pretty much going to repeat this process all throughout the rest of the dress, just with slight variations. So get comfortable with it. But I think once you get into a groove, it's pretty easy and pretty fast to do. So all of the stitches lean a little bit, and I'll meet you when I get right back here so I can show you how to connect these two and then how to keep going. Now that we're finished, well, now that we've made it back all the way around into our last stitch, we're just going to make a slip stitch to connect the rows, chain 2 again, and we're going to turn our work so that we are completely on the other side, and then we're going to be working that way. So we're going to do the same thing. Skip that one into this stitch and make your herringbone double crochet all the way around. We're going to do that for rows 1, which is, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, maybe even 6. So we're going to do double herringbone crochets for 6 rows, and then after that I will come back and tell you how we're going to do our increases. So it's a few days later, and this is the one that I was showing you in the video, and I actually made this one too small, so I made another one. It's right here, and I also realized that this yarn it's the same size as the yarn I use for my green dress. I'm making another shirt, but like it's the same size, but the green one like thickens up a little bit, so like you can see them right next to each other, that the green is a little thicker, but when I pull them, when I stretch out the green one, they're the exact same length. So when I noticed that, I was like, well, the green is gonna stretch more and the orange isn't gonna give me as much stretch because it's already stretched. Like it doesn't budge. When I did the bottom in my 6.0 hook, it was more see-through than it was when I did for the green dress. So I did this 5.5, so 5.5, just a half size down, and it's much more more coverage. So if you have a type 3 yarn that is stretchy like the green, then you can use your 6.0 hook and it'd be fine. If you have a less stretchy type 3, then this is what you want to use. I'm gonna have to edit this video. Oh, ended up changing just one thing. Basically, I just did an increase in the starting stitch. So this is this would be the last stitch, right? Since this one is in this stitch, but if you just slip stitch there, you can see there's a hole here. So I was like, I don't want any holes, especially because this is going to be the back of the dress where the your butt would be. So I just made another double herringbone crochet stitch in that same stitch, and then did a slip stitch so that it is hole free, so it's completely covered and you can't even notice it. So that's what I did, and I've done 6 rows. So this is right above my belly button, and since I did those 6 increases, I'm actually going to recount this row so that I can divide my increases correctly. So apparently I have 110, and I didn't realize that. What I want to do for this dress, this version of the Satori at least, is I want to have 2 rows, 2 layers of pleats instead of just a single layer. I have 110 and I want 10 pleats. Then every 11 stitches I'll make an increase, but because I'm doing 2 rows, it would be every 20 I do 1 increase, and then after 5 rows of that I'll do another 5 increases and just keep going with both of those. So that's kind of what I'm doing. So I've done my 22 stitches of double herringbone just as normal, and all you're going to do for your increases, which is basically just a V-stitch. If you don't know what a V-stitch is, it's just 2 of the same stitch in the same hole separated by 1 chain. So you're just going to chain 1, and then you're going to go yarn over and go back into the same hole and do your double herringbone crochet. So then the next row, we're going to put another V-stitch into this hole, and we're just going to do that every single row. Every single row where there's a V-stitch, we'll put another V-stitch in that same hole. So it just depends on how many pleats that you want. If you only want a cute little six pleats, you can totally do that. Just take the number of your stitches, divide it by 6, and then either do that many stitches and then do an increase for 1 row, or divide for 2 sets like I did for this dress. I'm just going to do this for 5 rows, and then I'm going to add in my second set of pleats by just going in 11 stitches and then adding a V-stitch, so that altogether I have 10 pleats. And then we'll just keep doing that until we reach the length that we want to be at, and then I'll meet you back here after I've reached that length, and we can finish the end with the actual like Satori little trademark, and then can work on the sleeves. So I just want to show you really quickly. This is me on the second row after I just finished putting in all my increases. I have 1 herringbone stitch. This is the chain space. That is the chain 1. That is the herringbone space. These 2 herringbones are in 1 stitch below. So this is what we're working into. And we're just going to make 1 herringbone, chain 1, and then make another herringbone into that same chain space. So just in case you didn't understand what I meant, and then we're just going to put another one into that next stitch, and then continue from there. It will start to form like an angle, you see? So that's what you want. All right, so it is several days later. I've finally made it to the spot that I want to make it. So we got all this. This is the start. We did all this. So there's a bunch of rows. This is all my increases. This is 1 increase, it's 1 pleat. So yeah, so it took a while to do all of that. But now I'm at the part where it covers my butt, and that's about as far as I want to go. The last 4 rows would give us a little more room to work with, and it is important that we do the last 4 rows because it curves the bottom of the dress, so it doesn't just fly all the way up when you spin it around. So the last 4 rows are very important. Keep doing our double herringbone stitch, but we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to skip 1. So we would usually go into this stitch, so we're going to go into this one instead, and then we're going to make our double herringbone crochet and chain 1 and skip 1 stitch, and we're going to do that all the way around. It's just like a little trademark Satori. Anyway, so we're just going to do that all the way around, and then I'll meet you back here because the next row is going to be a little different. Actually, let me let you tell you real quick. When we do for the increases, my increase is, oh gosh, where is it? It's right here. So this is the stitch that I'm in. I'm going to skip this one. I'm going to go into the increase stitch. If the stitch to the left of your V-stitch is empty, then you'll chain 1, yarn over, and go into the next stitch. If the stitch next to your V-stitch, like if you put this herringbone crochet right here, then you would skip this side and go into that one. So on either side, you want to have one that is skipped. There's one here, there's not one here. If there was one here, there wouldn't be one here, all right? I hope that's not confusing. So I just finished this row. I added another herringbone stitch into my first stitch, and I'm just going to go into this stitch here and slip stitch, and we're going to chain 4. We're going to be turning our work, and then we're going to yarn over twice and then go into the previous row's herringbone stitch and pretty much do the same thing that we've been doing, a herringbone stitch, but we just have an extra 2 that will be going into the what did I call it, the herringbone treble crochet is what I called it. So yarning it over twice, going into our double herringbone on the previous stitches. So we have 4 loops on our hook. First through the second, yarn it over through the first, 3 loops on our hook, yarn over through 2 loops on our hook, yarn over through 2. So that's what we're doing all the way around for this whole row. And then when we come back, we're going to make another row of these skip stitches. And then the last row will just be a row of single crochets. That's hooray! And then we're gonna come back and then we'll do the sleeves and the dress is done. And then you'll just have to weave in all your ends. Okay, so now the bottom is finished. I weaved in all of my ends and this is what my last 4 rows look like. This is my single crochet. So what we do next is I measured 1 inch on either side. And that's what I marked with the green stitch marker from the very edge on both sides, 1 inch. And that's going to be where our sleeves start on the back side. And then on the front, I tried it on and put my orange stitch markers where I wanted them to be in the front. And then I measured each side, like to make sure that they were the same length on both sides. So that's what I did to make sure that they were both equal, even. Let me just double check this one real quick. That's where we will start our sleeves. So I started my chain here. I just slip stitched into this and I chained 16 inches or somewhere around 16 inches, I believe. And this is just the measurement from the top of my bust panel to the top of my shoulder times 2. Don't stretch to your measurement. Make sure that it's relaxed and at your measurement. Okay, so my measurement checks out. So all I'm going to do is go to the front of my dress where I put the stitch marker. I'm just going to slip stitch into the space right next to my stitch marker. And then I'm going to turn my work. So I'm working on this side towards the armpit side. And let's go over into the slip stitch into the next stitch over. And then I'm gonna have to count how many this is because we need to make this once more, and then we can and then we're gonna slip stitch it back into the back, and then we're actually gonna start our rows. So give me 1 second. All right, so it's been millions of years later. I finished one sleeve, and you may notice it looks different from what I showed you. I have a thicker strap here, and I'm going to show you how to do that. This is the same, pretty much, it's the same. That's what I told you, if I remember correctly, but yep. So this is how our sleeve looks. This is one done sleeve, and we're going to do it again on the other side. Okay, so we have our section marked off, 1 stitch marker in the back, right by our edging, like right after our edging is over. And then the stitch marker is in the front when I tried it on and saw where I wanted the strap to go. And then I measured both sides from stitch marker to stitch marker on both sides to make sure that it was even. So yeah, so that's what I did so far. I'm gonna grab my 4.0 hook, and this is just what we'll be doing the chains in. Grab my yarn, stick my yarn in the back. Okay, that was a little more difficult than I thought. I'm gonna bring that on in. Okay, maybe not. Maybe not. Alrighty then. Okay, we're gonna try a different area because this part is obviously not wanting to be slip stitched into. Just put that down here. All right, slip stitch in successfully. We're gonna chain. I should not hold it like this. This is uncomfortable. Slip stitch to secure, pull tight in the back, and I am going to chain the measurement from the top of the bust when I had it on to the top of my shoulder times 2. So for me, I'm going to be chaining 60 chains. And once I reach 60 chains, I will just be slip stitching it into this where this stitch marker is, and then I'll meet you when I do that. All right, so I chained my 60. I'm just gonna go into the stitch marker stitch, slip stitch to secure, and then you're gonna wanna make sure that you're going the same direction. You don't wanna start going over here. You wanna make sure you're going this way. So I'm going to be making the thicker strap like this. So for that, we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch. If you just want the spaghetti strap, you would just make another chain, and then you would start making the sleeve, this part of the sleeve. But this, we're going to be doing the thicker strap. So we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch, and then we're not going to chain one. And then we're going to find our first stitch here, wherever it may be. Oh brother, this guy stinks. And we're gonna make a single crochet. And then we're gonna yarn over and make a double crochet, because we're gonna be doing the lip and peel stitch all over again. So the same stitch that we did for the bodice, that's what we're gonna be doing for the thicker sleeve strap. We're just gonna be doing the lip and peel stitch again. You can do it for 2 to 3 rows. I will be doing 2 rows, so I'll meet you right after I do 2 rows of just the lip and peel stitch back and forth. And you won't be chaining one. You're just gonna slip stitch into the next stitch over and start your single crochets. So the sun went down on me, but now I have my strap finished. Both of my straps here. Now all I did was like slip stitch into the next space. All I'm going to do now is chain my measurement D again, without slip stitching into another space. So only just slip stitching to secure, not slip stitching into the next space. So I'm just going to make my chain 60 again. I have my chain 60 and slip stitched it into the same stitch. And now, boop, boop, we're gonna switch to our bigger hook that we use for our skirt. This part's gonna be a little tricky, getting into this foundation chain. So we're gonna be using this bigger hook. I'm using a 5.5, so I went from my 4.0 to my 5.5. So we're yarning over and we're doing herringbone double crochets again. So this is going to be the whole row. You can either do skip stitches, which is just doing 1 herringbone double crochet as so, and then chaining 1 and then skipping a stitch and then making a double herringbone crochet into the next stitch, so this one. Or you can do what I'm doing in this one, which is going to make a more solid sleeve, and I personally like it because I feel like it just meshes a little better with the rest of the dress, which is just going into, hold on, did I mess up? Which is just making a double herringbone crochet into every stitch. Yeah, so for this whole row, we're just doing double herringbone crochets, and I will meet, or double herringbone crochet skip stitches, whichever one you fancy. For the green dress, I did the skip stitches. But so I'll meet you back here when this row is done. This is my first row done. It's wiggly waverly. It's supposed to be like that. So this is the end. Just gonna turn it a little bit, and then we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch. And then we're going to chain 1. Now the second row is a little different. So for the second row, I'm going to make 6 herringbone double crochets. If you're doing skip stitches, you would just do 3. Oh, I forgot, I lost track. This is 4, 5, and 6. And then for your next 6 stitches, if you're doing skip stitches, again, your next 3 stitches, you're going to yarn over twice, go into your next stitch, and now we're making treble crochet herringbone stitches. And again, they're a little more solid, but that's what we're doing. So we got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, into the hook, into the stitch, I mean. And then the last one. And then for the remainder of the sleeve, well, for mostly the remainder of the sleeve, except for the last 12 stitches, if you're doing skip stitches, the last 6 stitches, you will be, chaining 1, yarning over 3 times, and now we're making double herringbone double treble stitches. Same process, 1, 2, 3, into the stitch, and then we just have another 2 layers to go through, and then chain 1. So that's what we're doing for this row of the sleeves. Again, when we have 12 stitches left, we're just going to go in reverse. So we're increasing on this side, going to be decreasing on the other side. So when we have 12 stitches left, we will do 6 treble herringbone crochets and then 6 double crochet herringbone stitches, and you will repeat that for however many rows you want. If you see here, I did that for 2 rows. I wasn't skipping any stitches, so you can see here. So I put 1 here, and then I 1 in the chain, and then 1 here, 1 in the chain. So I did that. This is the first row this is the first row. This is our second row that this is. This is the next row that I put the stitch in, that stitch and the chain. And for the third row, I just didn't put it in the chain. I just put it underneath. And so I have 1 stitch per on top instead of, having 2 per one. Does that make sense? I hope the visual helps. And then you ended off with a single crochet. And then you just weave in your 2 ends and you're done. So do that for both sleeves, and I will meet you at the end and show you the final reveal. I hope that was explanatory enough for you. You can also just do 2 rows and then you don't have to do this 3rd row, but you can do even more than that, but yeah, that's what I did. Hooray! It's over! So this is me in 2025, finally getting around to finishing editing the rest of this video. This is the finished dress and the sleeves. And I forgot to mention for the back of the dress here, I just made a chain of about, I think it was 290, almost 300, a chain of 300, and that is what I used to lace up the back. And I didn't tie it properly, but that's the back. If you found me on YouTube and you keep hearing me say the green dress, it was my prototype basically, and this is her. This is she. I love her as well, but she's got some problems. Like, she's made out of wool, so she's thick and she's hot. So she's not a summer dress, she's a winter dress, but she has like winter sleeves, summer sleeves. So these were the original sleeves that I did with just like a spaghetti strap. This is a thicker version with a thicker strap, which I like much better. This one broke actually, but I was gonna take these off and give it like regular sleeves, because again, she's a winter dress and there's a whole bunch of problems with her, honestly. Like, she was the prototype, and this one is better, and that's why this one has the tutorial and this one does not. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments, and if you make the dress and you finish the dress, please tag me on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube, or I don't know, anywhere. Just tag me, I'll find it. I'd love to see your version. So yeah, that's the end. If you watched all the way to the end, thank you so much. If you've been waiting for this tutorial since I released the pattern of this dress, thank you so much. Anyway, bye.